At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the guns fell silent on the Western Front to bring an end to the First World War in 1918. Our nation has recalled that moment on this day through the decades, and now, 100 years later, we and those traumatized in the injured in the battles, may we have such a devotion to justice and freedom that the heroism of all who fought may continue to be remembered in a nation of service and in a world of peace. We have heard a national tolling of the bells to honor those who served in that great war. Now we have a proclamation from the governor of Massachusetts. Whereas a century ago, 4.77 million American families sent their sons and daughters off to World War I. And whereas the resources of our entire nation were brought to bear on the war effort, and whereas over 116,000 Americans gave their lives in that war, and more than 200,000 were injured. And whereas the tolling of the bells is a national expression of honor and remembrance, and whereas in November 2018, the world will commemorate the 100th anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m. on November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Now, therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2018 to be World War I Remembrance Day. And we urge all the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Signed, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. At this time, we ask the Tewksbury Memorial High School Band to play the national anthem. Thank you very much. We now ask the Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, and the Eagle Scouts to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we ask Reverend Baxter Chisholm to recite an opening prayer.
Good morning. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this beautiful morning to come here and recognize our veterans. We thank you for all veterans of every branch of the military. Thank you for their sacrifice as they have given it all to fight for our nation, for freedom for all. Thank you again, oh God, for our veterans this day and for what they mean for our nation, for the United States of America. Thank you for the blessing of our veterans this day. Amen.
Amen. Okay.
Actually, if we just, we're going to try to turn it up. You want to test it right there?
That's not anything to do with it.
Okay. At this time, we would like to have the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Mr. J. Kelly, give a greeting to the town.
Test. Any better? Yeah. Okay, cool. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Lisa Downey and everyone involved. Yesterday, I called an 88-year young veteran, and I asked him, what should I say? I wanted to mention his rank and his title. He said, no way, today's Veterans Day. We're all veterans. He said, number one, do not pass the microphone to dumb politicians. So that I will not do. And, and he said, number two, it's simple. It's very simple. He said, just say a profound thank you. So across our country, within our state, and within Tewksbury, where I always say the sun always shines, I just want to say to the veterans, a profound thank you. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce one who made all of this possible, and that's our selectman, Mark Kratman, who is right here behind me. Mark, just stand up.
Thank you. No speeches.
No.
No dumb politicians.
Mark said, no speeches, no politicians allowed to speak today. So next on the agenda is our guest speaker. And we have a military speaker today who is a distinguished graduate of the ROTC program at Lowell, UMass Lowell. And he is a Master Air Battle Manager with over 2,500 hours flying both Air Force and Navy aircraft. He was initially stationed at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma and with the Airborne Control Squadrons, and he was there for 5 years and progressed through the ranks from a weapons director to the chief weapons and tactics director of the 966 Squadron. In 1966, he was chosen for the Navy's exchange program and assigned to a fleet replacement squadron at the Naval Air Station in Norfolk, Virginia. As a naval flight officer, he was assigned to an early warning squadron and patrolled the oceans across the country and across the equator on the aircraft carrier John Stennis. Our speaker later had assignments in the air control squadrons in Keflavik, Iceland, and at Tinsdale Air Force Base in Florida, where he was part of a response team for providing 24-hour surveillance of the entire continental United States. In 1907, he was deployed to Kabul, Afghanistan, as a deputy director of operations, where he guided a joint staff on the development of the Afghan Army Air Corps and he took it from a small group to over 3,500 personnel. Upon his return from Afghanistan, he was assigned to Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma to the Air Combat Command and Control Division, in the mobile and fixed air defense programs. And from that position, he retired from active duty in 2010. I am honored to present Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roskowski. Thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Hey, thanks for the introduction. First of all, I'd like to thank the town of Tewksbury for inviting me to speak. It's a great honor. Today, November 11th, 2018, marks the 100 years since the signing of the armistice, ending World War I, the war to end all wars. While World War I didn't end all war, it certainly impacted history in both the face of Europe and the faces in Europe. World War I saw the end of 4 empires: the Ottoman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the German and Russian empires. It literally and figuratively changed the faces of Europe. The war also impacted the people of Europe. Total casualties caused during the war were estimated at 37.5 million people. That's approximately 2% of the world's population at the time. Nearly a third of the US's 103 million population, 8% of the population of Europe. 11% of France's entire population was killed or wounded. The war was a brutal one, mixing technologies and tactics of the 18th and 19th centuries. World War I would be called the first modern war, a conflict between industrialized nations equipped with modern weapons like heavy artillery, machine guns, and airplanes. Mixed into this were 18th century tactics of manned assaults. The men would gather in their trenches, and while the artillery bombarded the enemy lines, prepare to leap the line at the blow of a whistle. The men would charge from their trenches into and through the hail of machine gun fire, with the outcome all too certain. World War I was thought to be the war to end all wars because of its brutality and deadly costs. Over 7 million maimed for life. 50% of all combatants would become casualties. Armistice today is practically a forgotten event. 100 years ago, it signaled the end of mankind's most hellish of nightmares. When my sister asked me about giving a short speech at Veterans Day, 2 things came to mind. First, I'm not that guy that gives Veterans Day speeches. I'm not a general, I'm not a politician, I'm really not, I'm just a guy that was lucky enough to join the Air Force. The second thing that came to mind was the one that convinced me to say yes, was a memory. And it was a memory of when I was serving as a liaison officer in the Navy, flying Hawkeyes. We were doing workups on the USS John C. Stennis, and ended up that we were on sea on the 11th day of the 11th month. We were getting ready for the second launch of the morning, right around 11 a.m. All activities stopped on the flight deck, all engines were turned off, and just the sound of the sea and the rush of the air over the carrier deck. Everyone stood at attention at 11 a.m. on the dot, and they fired a cannon. We took the time, even on the busy flight deck of an aircraft carrier, to honor Veterans Day. That's the memory why I came and spoke today. We seem to have picked up a new tradition when it comes to how civilians interact with military, active duty, or veterans. People discover you're with the military and they respond, "Thank you for your service." It's a thoughtful thing to hear and relatively new, originating from the Gulf War when everyone made a point to welcome the troops home, no matter your opinion on the war itself, just to say thanks. It was a way to make amends for a country to the horrendous way some American troops were met when returning from Vietnam. To be frank, I never really knew how to respond to "thank you to your service." I didn't join the military to be thanked. I certainly didn't serve 20 years for anyone to thank me for. "Thank you for your service" was usually met by a quick thank you from me and a flush and red on my face. Welcome home was really all I ever wanted. It wasn't until after I retired that I was taught the best way to respond by, of all people, an E1 in the United States Air Force. A group of us were on the train heading to New York City for Christmas when the train stopped just outside Petersburg, Virginia. Several folks were boarding, one of whom was the young airman. He was making his way past me when someone in the train said to him, "Thank you for your service." I fully expected him to say thank you and move on. But instead, this young man, no older than 20, turned to the woman and said, "No, ma'am, thank you. It's been an honor." Right there, he managed to capture the thing I'd been trying to wrap my mind around for 10 years. We don't serve for the thanks. We serve because it allows us the opportunity to be part of something greater than ourselves. Serving is an honor, and especially serving such a great nation as these United States of America. It seems there's a debate going on regarding when America was great. President Trump's election slogan was "Make America Great Again." Recently, Governor Cuomo stated, "America has never been that great." I stand here today and respectfully disagree with both of these political leaders. America, from its founding, has been a great nation. Not because it was perfect. America was great because of the ideal that it wanted to become, founded on the principles that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are a set of amazing principles for both our time and their own. Remember, at the founding of our nation, the rule of kings and queens was the unquestioned standard. The belief that some people were better than others, based solely on who their parents were, what sect they were, what class they came from, for predetermined for being their leaders of nations. America, according to our Constitution's preamble, was founded with the goal of creating a more perfect union, not a perfect one. To set your founding principles, those of individual liberty and limited representative government, was a complete experiment. America's greatness is in its desires to always be better, to grow towards that more perfect union. America was great when it fought and won its Civil War from 1861 to 1865, while also passing the 13th and 14th Amendments, ending slavery and providing citizenship to African Americans. Yet again on August 18, 1920, when enacting the 19th Amendment, guaranteeing all women the right to vote. The Civil Rights Acts of 1866, the precursor to the 14th Amendment, and 1964, banning segregation and discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, or national origin. America, from its founding up to today, will never be perfect, but it has always been great. Our military is a meritocracy, a place where those who show greatest abilities are advanced, agnostic of race, color, gender, or sexual orientation. These are the things that run through my mind when I hear someone say, "Thank you for your service." America's continual journey to a more perfect union makes us a great nation, and in being so, makes the act of serving her a great and humbling one. Today, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we happy few, we band of brothers, celebrate the honor of serving this great nation as it continually progresses in delivering its promises of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you. May God bless you all, and may God bless these United States of America.
Thank you very much, Colonel Ruskowski. That was a very inspiring speak. At this time, I want to introduce Jenny Desmond.
Welcome. We are the Tewksbury Swinging Seniors. We are going to be singing "Let There Be Peace on Earth," led by Arlene Wright. Please join us. Outdoor voices.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you very much, the Tewksbury Swinging Seniors. At this time, we're going to have a presentation of wreaths to honor all our deceased service members. The people doing the presenting are from the Veteran of Foreign Wars, the Disabled American Veterans, and the American Legions. These members will present the wreaths to as a salute to our comrades. The first wreath to be presented is a wreath designating the honorees from World War I. The next wreath to be presented is the wreath honoring the deceased from World War II. The next wreath to be presented is the wreath for the Korean War. The gentleman presenting the wreath for the Korean War is Tom Gannon and John Horahan, who are Korean War veterans themselves. The next wreath to be presented is for the Vietnam War. The next wreath to be presented is for the Persian Gulf War, and that memorial is right behind the bandstand here, and it was a memorial that was put up by the Blue Star Mothers, the Persian Gulf War wreath. Thank you, gentlemen. And the last wreath to be put up is a wreath that designates to honor all the veterans from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. And of course, the Afghanistan war is still going on. Now we're honored today to have with us VFW Post 8164. And we have the Tewksbury Police and Fire Honor Guards, and they will do an Honor Guard 21 gun salute. Yeah. Please stand. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we ask the Tewksbury Memorial High School Band to do a taps and echo.
In closing, we would like to invite you all to join us singing God Bless America, which will be led by Arlene Wright.
While the storm clouds gathered far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountain to the prairie, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
That concludes our ceremony for today. We want to thank you, all you people, for showing up. You showed your patriotism, and we love you all. God bless America.